Okay. 2, 3. Oh, I gotta hold this again. Oh,
yeah, you better not do that to him.
That's okay. Oh, I'm supposed to rip from here?
No,
okay.
Where it goes up.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
How do you know that?
1, 2, 3. So regardless if anybody wants to throw in more, we're doing this for your pleasure.
Just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Shave your ball. I mean, beer.
I'm doing a summer walk for that.
That's a 2-for-1 deal.
We got 2 for going on?
All right, all the kids leave.
Count 1, 2, 3.
Whoa. Oh, that hurt.
It's not that
Give
bad.
everybody an update. They're at 3 grand.
1, 2, 3.
That was very
Ooh, well, that's a good one. Good evening. Welcome to another fantastic edition of The Ghost and the Goat. I am your co-host, Buddy Thayer. I am the ghost side. I'm the paranormal investigator. Holding the hand of holding the paw of my goat, or his leash. No, he's unleashed. He's not leashed. Holding my paw, holding him by the antlers sometimes, and walking him into a wonderful paranormal world. The goat is on his way in. He's having some login issues. His paws sometimes with the hooves. He has trouble like typing in the link. He struggles. We're not gonna make fun of him, Bam. Just get on when you can, dude. We really look forward to having you on. So this is this editions of like as I said, the Ghost and the Goat. I just came back from a lovely weekend in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I went to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and yeah, I wore my T-shirt. A lovely charitable organization. Something to be said about the word parunity, which normally causes me to have feelings of diarrhea, but because it's so overused and overdone. But this is like just another gleaming example, as is the link at the bottom of you're going to see that for the entirety of the show. Gleaming example of people coming together and helping other people. This event this weekend, it raised over $20,000, I'm told. Our guest tonight raised a lot of money and continues to help out the cause Shine Strong for Shaylee. It's Daniel Cleese, the owner of the we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the show. Russ did you saw pretty sure Russ was shaving. Well, he had shaved his head. They shaved his beautiful beard. And they were taking like strips, and like for $5, you could like have them plant them on pieces of Russ's legs. I threw all my dollar bills at him. I'm like, yeah, just take all the hair off. Wonderful people, wonderful organization, wonderful effort. Try follow this link. Look it up on Facebook. They have a GoFundMe account. This girl's 11 years old and she's battling cancer. Just like things you gotta like forget about the negativity, all the drama. That's exhausting that surrounds the paranormal field, and just focus on the good things that happen in the paranormal field. Speaking of good things, tune into a Van Down by the River podcast, the channel that we are playing now on YouTube. For other great podcast fans, we'll do the mid-card, the wrestling show on Friday nights, and myself and the two dudes are visiting. This month we'll visit Six Pack Brewing. You'll see that episode next week sometime, as soon as we put all the bells and the whistles together. And then, of course, later on this month, myself and the dudes travel out to Block Island for quite the adventure. But speaking of adventures, tonight is nothing short of an adventure. Tonight's guest he's a paranormal investigator. Like I said, he's a fundraiser, you could say. He's a wholehearted guy. He's a man of the people. He has two podcasts, The Unturned Pages and oh my God, Compass of Curiosities. He's a wonderful guy. He shaved all his head for all his hair for charity this weekend. Please welcome to the show, beautiful man, Russ Stiver. Hey Russ, how you doing, dude? Look at that. Look at that gleam, dude. It's almost like silk. It's beautiful. You look amazing,
the ring light is not doing me any favors, but you know what? I've shaved my head multiple times in the past for for football, for baseball, when I was in the military, I've had it buzz cut before and everything. But nice. This was for a lot better meaning than what it was, Shay for Shaylee. As you saw in the video, the shirt I was wearing, this is same shirt I was wearing. I had to wash it just to still show out for her. So, but no, that the video you saw at the beginning of the podcast, it was actually wax strips that we were putting on my leg. So yeah, that was fun. But I mean, $5 a pop, that alone, between the podcast Ian Murphy and I did on the prior Sunday to the bash, plus all the donations to the GoFundMe for Dan and Shaylee, we raised in cash between the celebrity, because the celebrity bartending on Saturday night, all the money from that was being raised was going towards Dan and Shaylee for Shine Strong for Shaylee. With that being said, in just a little over 2 hours, raised a little over $5,000.
Wow. That's amazing, dude. That's amazing.
So, good cause, great thing. Hair grows back, but, it's nothing compared to the smile you can put on somebody's face.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. You see the stuff like daily, people sending them like different like fundraisers other people are doing across the country. It's really great how people have come together and just like do for this little girl. It's what needs to be more around the paranormal, less of the silliness that we see from time. I don't want to talk about any silliness. No silliness this evening. Only good and happy thoughts. Speaking of good and happy thoughts, Russ, how many years have you been doing the Gettysburg Bash? Because that is, dude, I had a great time. I was only there about half the time you were, but I mean, oh my God, it was amazing. How many years have you been involved?
So I have actually been doing the event since day one. Wow. This event started 7 years ago in a small banquet center in the back of a restaurant and bar. Wow. And I remember us having to walk up a giant ass hill to the hotel that was up past where the banquet center was. And that's where they were doing all the lectures. So I've been there since day one. Year two, they moved it over to the Wyndham, which was great for a couple years. And then, of course, 2020 hit, so we couldn't do it because of COVID. And then the last 2 years now, 3 years now, they've come strong. This is the first year they've done it at the Eisenhower and the Aspire. And I've heard mixed reviews about it. And of course, you being a year one person, I actually liked the spread of it because before, when we were at the Wyndham, there were vendors on top of each other. There wasn't a lot of area to move. This just seemed a little bit more spread out. This seemed a little bit more able to move around. You were able to mingle a little bit more. You knew all the parties were going to be in the pool area. So that was kind of a really good thing to have. And it worked out well for them.
This is the first year they bet. This is the first year they went to Eisenhower. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Because before they were holding it at the Wyndham, which is actually like 2 exits down the way on the highway.
Yep. Okay. The one thing I will take away, I mean, it was great. I met a lot of people that I've talked to on the podcast over the years, and I've never actually met. One, for example, is Tony Rathman and Ron Iacovetti. I absolutely love what they do with the
Staticom and everything.
Staticom. Oh yeah, I found it so fascinating, dude. And it takes like everything that science has to say about like spirit boxes and paranormal communication is like just tossed out the window because none of that. See, but the thing, they just use white noise. Tony's like, I rode in my car and I like recorded and like that was the white noise that it was coming through. So to see it like done, see these guys in person was amazing. It was beautiful, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was like almost like a.
You also had Jeff Whittam and his traveling boards of wonder that was set up right across from the Staticom area, which he had a fantastic layout. I mean, such great.
Yeah, those are some really cool boards.
And then, I mean, you had everything from, tattooing to, people selling beef jerky and coffee, and it's an event that has something for everyone. I think we lost Buddy. He froze up. All right, well, the timer's still running, so obviously I'm still live, I would assume, unless I'm going to lose connection here in a second. But no, but it really is an event. And they already started booking for next year. So I guess the event's going to be from the 24th or the 25th to the 27th of July. I just got a text from Buddy. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I lost him. I mean, I could still be in the show. I'm not sure. Is anybody out there listening? Comment. Tell me I'm in there. Okay. I'm just talking to myself then. Oh, if I'm still here, I mean, I may have to drop off here because Buddy's gonna have to start a new feed, I guess. But Icy, I heard you were at the event. I'm sorry, I did not get a chance to meet you. That's the one thing about the event is you always think back on afterwards and the people you didn't get pictures with and everything like that. So yeah, Andy, everybody did have a great time. It was a really good time. But besides for the pain, but it wasn't even really pain. I kind of built up the whole waxing thing just to kind of make it look good. It really wasn't that bad. And for a guy to say that kind of is weird to say, but it wasn't that bad. So I enjoyed it. It was a good time and it was for a good cause. And we even got Dave Schrader to sit down and shave his goatee, which there were a lot of people saying they've never seen Schrader without a goatee. So that was awesome. That was awesome for him to do. Okay, so I'm still on. So I'm strong for Shaylee. Shine strong for Shaylee. There at the bottom, there's still a GoFundMe up. Definitely go check it out. Also, unturned pages, and it's definitely awesome to have the support of Rob and Sarah and all the crew from there, posting what I was doing for the charity and everything like that. So that actually means a lot to me. Yeah, I see. Next year, I know. I was telling even my friends that came down with me, they were like, "You were all over the place. I swear, we came with you when we barely saw you." So, yeah, definitely next year. I tried to on Friday take pictures with as many people as possible because that's one thing I always forget to do. But definitely a great time. And this is the first time I'm making my internet appearance with no hair. But I already have stubble, so by Friday I'll have some back. Doesn't take long for me. I mean, I'm 40 years old and I'm still growing hair like I'm a teenage boy. So, I mean, we'll see how that one goes. And I had several people calling out to me that they needed, they want. Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
There he
sorry
is.
about
Back.
that.
No worries. I
You
took
were
over your show.
entertaining
Don't worry.
my masses. Thank you so much.
I was. I definitely was. I mean, I was talking about the bash a little bit. I gave a shout out to Robin, Sarah, and Courtney and Trevor from Get Haunted. Them supporting me,
Dude,
especially during the charities and everything, and they were sharing the links and everything like that, and making sure that we were raising as much money as we could for Dan and Shaylee. So
absolutely. Let me just
let
me just give a shout out to the people that Get Haunted, where most of you are watching us from right now. It's such an amazing team of people. I'm so glad to be a part of it. I mean, they stuck through with me because the internet gives me battles, and I battle with the internet. But I'm back on now, and everything's cool. And they stick with it. They write it, but like 20 minutes. I was like, oh shit, I didn't go live, and no problems. It happens. Tuesdays is like
I've done it before myself.
Tuesdays is like my hex day. It's I have a staff meeting at work. It's usually pretty awful, and then I just come home and it feels like I'm in a rush. But Tuesdays is a great. It's our showtime now, so
Andy's saying we're both breaking up, but I think that might be your end on the internet side of it, since you're the one hosting the link and everything. So
my router just freshly started not blinking and coming on, so I don't know if it'll work itself out or
it probably should. It probably should. Everybody in the chat, if you're listening, let us know if you can still hear us clearly and everything like that. So trust me, seasoned podcaster over here, so I know all the issues when they come up.
Can't stand the internet. It's usually Buddy versus the internet. But anyway, getting back to the batch, dude. One thing I can, not negative, but one thing I will say that would be more helpful next time. I was walking around all the Eisenhower, and I saw everybody. It was great talking to people, like you said. But then I didn't know that Tony and Ron were down that hall. I just kind of happened down that way and found them there. And that honestly, maybe more tables down there and so balance it off a little bit.
So next year, it's already been announced. It was announced on Monday that they actually literally took everybody's concerns and criticisms into consideration. And I guess next year, the room that they had the bull riding in, the room that they had the wrestling ring in.
Yep.
They are going to be using that ballroom now to put more vendors in.
Oh, that'd be great. So
they're taking the vendors out of the hallway that were in the Eisenhower area, where you kind of had to like make your way down a small corridor. So they're going to use that other ballroom to put more vendors in, and everything like that. And also they're actually going to, at both the entrance to the Aspire and the entrance to the Eisenhower, where you buy your tickets at and everything. I guess they're actually going to make like a trifold map.
Nice.
Of both hotels that's going to lay out like where the vendor rooms are, what room is going to be what, and things like that. So
right.
That's definitely took that into consideration. But like I said, this was the first year they were at the Eisenhower and Aspire. So growing pains, you live and you learn, and you kind of adjust as you go.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. I mean, but it's like it's evolved, like you said, over 7 years, and they only seem to get better and better. I'm so glad that I think it was you who said, "Buddy, you should go next year." And I booked my trip last July. I think I'm going to do the same thing probably this evening and book my room next year.
Yeah, book for now. I mean, if anybody's out there, if anybody's listening and you're thinking about going into the bash, book early because they do sell out. I think I saw a post earlier today that they released the room blocks for the hotel already, and there are only 30 rooms left in the Aspire and 100 rooms left in the Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't
Nice
charge you.
hotel.
They don't charge you till you check in.
Mhm.
So even if you book now and then realize, oh, I can't go, I have something coming up, you can cancel. There's no fee, anything like that. So,
Russ, let me ask you, how do you get a table at an event like this?
reach out to the organizers of it, whether it be, one of the volunteers, James Houston, Dave Haney, Stephanie Haggerty, Lori Shep, or reach out to Pam and Steve directly. They're probably a little harder to get a hold of, but definitely, like I said, I've been doing this event for so long that I'm not even asked to do it anymore. I just get tossed onto the poster. So they know I come every year. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's just one of those things where I know kind of like I block off that time. Next year is going to be a little bit harder for me to navigate because I'm being promoted. If anybody out there that knows who I am, has listened to my shows or anything like that, I am a store manager for Spirit Halloween.
Ooh.
We actually opened my store on Friday, which is August 2nd. So I'm kind of like, I came back from Gettysburg. I have 1 or 2 days to rest up, and then I'm going to be back into the store making sure everything's ready, set to go to open on Friday. And next year I'm being promoted from a store manager to a district manager.
Wow.
So I'm going to have the responsibility of 3 stores instead of just 1. But that's also getting all the permits, making sure the builds are correct, making sure everything's ready to go. So at the end of July, it's going to be very difficult. And I'm going to have to work with my other district manager and my zone manager on being like, this is the vacation I take once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, there's going to be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to be taking that vacation.
Right.
So they're just going to have to deal with it. But the one thing I do want to do is I want to get to more Warner Paranormal events up here in Massachusetts because, like I said, again, anybody that knows me or has followed me or has listened to my podcasts, I've had some medical issues over the past 2 years that have kind of prevented me from being able to travel and go out and do things. But I'm starting to feel 100% better. I'm getting back to where it was. And I'll be able to do a lot more. So I really want to be able to attend some more Warner events and help them out with that. And also I want to get to a lot more Get Haunted events. And especially if Get Haunted would come up to the New England area a little bit, I would definitely be able to go to those. But they've been doing them over in like Missouri and Jersey and, Philly and, all these areas. So it's kind of a hike for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I'd love to get to more of them, especially after as much as Get Haunted has done for, Compass Curiosities, my show on Monday nights, as well as Unturned Pages on Sunday nights. I mean, back-to-backs, I love it because, I do Unturned Pages with my co-host, Jenny Davis, on Sunday nights. That's 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And then we do that show. And then the next day I have my Compass Curiosities, which I've been really amping up and actually starting to promote more and more. And I wanted to get on that train a little bit more of putting that show out there a little bit more. So they've given me such great opportunities and I couldn't be any more grateful for them giving me those opportunities. So big shout out to, Rob and Sarah and Danny. Can't forget Danny Marie.
Right.
All of them over there at Get Haunted, they really have given me some great opportunities, and those aren't going to be gone to squander. So that's for sure.
That's good. They're definitely good people and they're supportive. So if you have a podcast and you're looking to get on a great network, if it's Haunted, of course.
I'm the one.
These guys are amazing.
I'm the one that told you to come on over to Get Haunted in the first place.
Another great piece of advice by Russ Stiver to Buddy Thayer. It was probably one of the best things I've done since in a long time. Let me ask you, Gettysburg. I've been to Gettysburg myself well over a dozen times. This makes twice in 1 year. I love the history. I'm a Rhode Island guy. I celebrate military history as much as humanly possible. And but I've never investigated anywhere at Gettysburg, and I've heard it's super haunted. Do you have any experiences with that, Russ? Have you ever?
I've never investigated for 5 years in a row. I took my equipment with me.
Yep.
And you just get so wrapped up in the things that are happening at
Oh, I
the
know.
event.
Right.
And next thing you know, it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, "Holy, where did the night go?"
Yeah. Right. Right.
And
And
like,
you're bald and have no beard anymore, and you're mildly
exactly,
intoxicated.
be
Yeah.
a little bit breezy. Well, I mean, like this year, I did Thursday, I did a wedding.
Mhm.
Friday, I kind of just did my thing. That was the only day I had where I wasn't doing anything.
Right.
And then Saturday, of course, I did the celebrity bartending with Wes Coleman. We were kind of the carnival barkers, I guess you could say, calling
Mhm.
people. I was dressed as an elf. He was dressed as Santa.
Perfect.
You know, we were calling people to all the different stations and everything like that. And then, of course, there goes the hair.
Yeah.
So, and
That
then
was an
Sunday was nice because I did my lecture early in the afternoon, around 12:40ish. And then the rest of the day was kind of like the come down day.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know, because you're running constantly, and then come Sunday night, there's only a few stragglers left at the hotel, which I really enjoyed staying the extra day
Mhm.
because it was one of those things where you could have that come down day, you could have that relax. You know, the event's over by 4 o'clock. You still have those couple people to hang around, so you get dinner. I mean, this year we just ordered in a couple pizzas. We sat in the pool area, had some pizza, had some beer,
Mhm.
and just sat around and reminisced over the weekend.
That's nice. That's a good time. Gettysburg has so many. I went with my girlfriend, so I was dedicated for both. She wanted to see that. She had never been to Gettysburg. She was interested in the history, so I'm like, yeah, let's Saturday. We'll go all day. Went out in the morning. I was the auto tour. I took her out to some famous, peach orchard, and we did the bloody wheat field. We did Longstreet's Tower, which honestly I thought I was going to drop dead by the time I get to the 8th story, but I made it up to the top. It was pretty good. Beautiful landscape. I just love Gettysburg. I could go back tomorrow. I'm probably, couldn't make it with work and whatnot, but I mean, I could go back, next month. I go every chance I get. And then at night I came back and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to go and do some work on the computer if you want to." Yeah, I'm going to go downstairs and do the ghost stuff. Yeah, I'd love to, but there was not enough time in a day. I could have spent a week in Gettysburg and not seen and done everything that I wanted to do. So,
Like I said, I go to the bash and I always buy a piece of equipment at the bash. Like it's just either a piece of equipment is given to me going, "Hey, test this out for me, let me know what you think," whatever, or I buy a piece and I never use it. Like in Gettysburg, I never get the chance to use it because I'm always being pulled in 6 different directions.
Yep.
And my wife and I have always said that if we were going to move from anywhere, because I'm originally from Ohio, I'm a transplant. I moved from Ohio to Massachusetts 8 years ago, which was probably one of the best, decisions I ever made in my life. Besides for the cost of living, but it was one of the best decisions I ever made. But her and I've always talked, she's lived in New York, she's lived in Massachusetts. And she said the one place she would ever move, if it would ever be anywhere, it would be Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, it's a great town.
So I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Damien over in Scotland. Like, great guy. He always peeks into all the shows on Get Haunted as well as mine on Sunday and Monday.
It does.
You
see him frequently here in the chat room for sure.
We need to get him stateside sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Or get us all over there, man. That's another
I would love to go to Scotland. That's a bucket list for me. Because I'm Irish, Scottish, and German. I would love to go to Ireland, Scotland, Germany, just to embrace the culture and the history and everything like that. Maybe not so much on the German side, but I mean,
Not to mention investigating. From what I understand, Wales, England. I've known people investigate in Ireland. It's it's like a whole different level of history. It's a whole different level of spiritualism. Have you ever?
Well, you also need to remember it predates the U.S. So I mean, anybody listening out there, you'll have to apologize for me. My voice is kind of shot from this past weekend from yelling. I mean, Buddy was out there listening to me yell when we were doing the shaving and everything. So
you tried to check me in, Russ. Someone asked me how much money to shave my beard. I've been growing this for about 26 years. I get the red highlights in the summer. It's nice. It's a symbolism of my Irish heritage. So I'm like $1,000. And he's like $1,000. I'm like, it means a lot to me. But I mean,
Hey, you know what? Don't say that. Do not say that when you put yourself up to a good cause, because Nicole, my wife, set the beard at $2,000.
Wow.
And we surpassed that so quick.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, and I was like, I literally knew the minute I put that out there that I was coming back from Gettysburg with no hair.
I would have taken the head. Yeah, do the head because I haven't gotten to the bobber yet. But I mean, like, the beard, tough. I do like
Dude,
to.
I already have scruffs, so give me by mid-September, I'll probably be your length.
My fear is that it will come in white, and I'll be old, and I'll have to
Dude,
start dyeing
like
my
you
beard.
saw the video. You saw the video of me. It was
Yeah.
all red around here.
Yeah.
But like in the middle, like right around here was gray. It was
Yeah.
white. It was gray. So like, don't worry about that. Embrace that. Embrace that.
I don't know. Maybe next year we'll see. We'll see how much money can be raised.
Let's see here.
Hopefully this girl.
Is Jenny Davis in the room? I can only see a couple comments over here on the side.
There's
So
another one here.
we got Steve Kometz in there. Hey, Steve.
We got this one here.
You got Steve. Hi, Laura Binky Helms.
Binky.
Laura, I don't know who you are, but thank you for coming and listening.
Oh, we got Andrew is follows a lot of our stuff here, so thank you.
Big Daddy Andy. Big Daddy Andy actually gave Jenny a jar of moonshine to bring to me in Gettysburg.
Oh.
And I tell you what, that stuff is that is pure
moonshine
perfection.
is quite delicious. Yeah, it's quite delicious.
That was pure perfection. Okay, so Laura, so Binky, does that come from Pac-Man? Because isn't one of the ghosts named Binky?
Binky, yeah.
Or is
I
that
think
Blinky?
So, yeah. No, I think it's Binky.
Okay.
I have to Google that, I think, but
I think so too. But no, I mean, all things aside, Gettysburg is a great event. The great charities. For me, it's going and seeing people I don't see that often. These people sometimes I only see once a year.
Right.
So, okay, so it's a family nickname. All right, good.
That makes sense.
All right, cool. Thank you for clearing that up, Laura. I really appreciate that. But no, like all things aside, you should definitely check it out if you have the chance to. I brought a friend with me this year that had never been there before. He had a good time. I'm not going to say a great time, but he had a good time. But yeah, definitely a good thing.
It's a good social, definitely. And like I said, you get to meet people that you never. I met people from Alabama. Or Georgia. I met people from right up in Massachusetts. The new owners of the Lizzie Borden House. I stopped and talked to them for a while. That was. Am I skipping? Am I doing this? No, good.
No. I was just adjusting. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the no hair. I used to have a buffer.
Yeah, Ron and Tony. That was and Lourdes and Cherie. It was great to meet. People I've just only known through a computer, through a screen, like I'm talking to you now, Russ.
And that's the great thing. Like you get to meet people. You get to meet people you talk to on Facebook or social media or podcasts or guests or things. That happened to me. I had Larry Eisler III on my podcast a month and a half ago, and I finally got to meet him in person in Gettysburg. So I was so happy he came out. He told me already he's coming back next year, which is great because he's a great guy, awesome content provider and content creator. So I mean, you just never know who you're going to meet.
Right, that's good. So Binky just mentioned that both Lizzie Borden and Gettysburg are on her bucket list. Russ, I know you're an investigator, so let me ask you, Russ. Top three on your bucket list, because I mean I could go on for days about my bucket list, but top three.
Are we going no restrictions, or are we going
no restrictions, Russ? Anywhere in the world.
All right. So mine may be a little controversial.
Okay, that's fine. That might make it more interesting of an investigation.
So, like you, buddy, I am a huge history buff.
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a tragic history or like most history is a tragic history. I mean, look at Gettysburg, look at, everything that happened in the South, look at everything. All the prisons we investigate, there are tragic histories there.
Of course.
So I'm going into these locations mostly for the history aspect rather than the paranormal aspect of things, because I always believe as an investigator, we're set out to tell these people's stories.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, right.
That's what it is telling these people's stories the best way we can possibly tell them through the communication with them. So the number one on my list would definitely have to be Chernobyl.
Really?
Yep.
That's right. You don't hear that a lot, but go ahead.
I would love to go check out Chernobyl just because of the disastrous events that happened there. And it's just like Centralia, PA. It just became a ghost town overnight.
Of course. Yeah. All the death that happened suddenly, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be something very cool to check out. I mean, you can't get into it right now because of the whole Ukrainian Russian thing going on.
Yeah, that would pose a problem for sure.
That would kind of pose a problem. My second one would have to be it's a tough one. It's a toss up between either the Suicide Force in Japan or the catacombs in Paris.
I know somebody who has investigated the catacombs in Paris.
I think the catacombs would be wild to investigate.
Yeah, for sure. Because
so many
the history and the death and.
But the thing about it is with the catacombs, though, it is going to be such a hard environment because of all the environmental factors leading to it. Because you are in catacombs, you are in an area where it echoes, and everything like that. So that's something you really have to take into account. And my third one is going to be the most controversial one, and everybody kind of gives me a side eye about it a little bit. But like I said, for the history aspect of it already, Polivica would be a good one, Laura. Yeah, Island of the Dolls.
Yeah.
That would be a fun one. I don't mind dolls. I know there's a lot of people out there that have a phobia of dolls.
I hate dolls. I don't fear them. I just don't like them.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing to check out. But my only reserve with the island is like literally you're dropped there and you have no way off until they come back to get you. That's like I like to know I have a way out if I need one out.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I'm not swimming in that water. So I'll pass on that one. So
Plum Island. Plum Island. What's that?
Plum Island.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what that was. So my last one, I will actually get to that comment here in a moment. My last one is probably the most controversial one. Is actually Auschwitz.
Oh, I could see. No, I'm not gonna side eye you at all. That's it's if you were gonna imagine a place where people suffered and like if their spirits would be left over anyway, you would think Auschwitz would be one of the, with all the millions of deaths there for all the reasons that absolute people were just tortured and murdered.
Yeah,
for their religion, or culture rather, which is atrocious. Or even if you were just like handicapped, it was just atrocious.
If there were stories to tell, that would be the place.
Oh yeah, you would think, right, for sure. I mean, that was probably open for a little over 10 years, and they killed a lot of people. Millions of people. Yeah, millions of people.
Yeah. So just for the stories to hear. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. I don't know if you ever saw the movie with Brando, Marlon Brando, Island of Dr. Monroe.
Yeah, okay.
That's what Plum Island is the real island of Dr. Monroe. That's what it was based off of. Okay. But getting back to Laura's comment about the Ohio State Reformatory and Malabar Farms.
What's Malabar Farms? What is that?
Malabar Farms is a actually somebody I'll hook you up with, Ray Gooseby.
I've heard that name before. I know the
Goose.
Name.
He actually used to run tours and investigations at Malabar Farm. Great location. There's so many historical buildings on that property. I've been to a couple of them. I got a personal tour from Ray years ago. but it's a very popular spot in Ohio. Ohio State Reformatory was my first ever investigation when I was 13 years old. So I mean, Ohio State Reformatory is one of the most known infamous prisons in America. I mean, behind like Alcatraz, Missouri State, Eastern State, those kind of places.
How old is it? Ohio, it's like 1800s.
18. Oh God, when did they finish the construction on it? It dates back to the end of 1800s.
Yeah, and you all had the death penalty in Ohio as well.
Yes, we did. Yep.
imagine.
There's actually, if you go to Mansfield Reformatory, they actually still have the original electric chair on display.
Ugh.
That they use. Well, it's a replica because of course they're not going to use the original, but it was the same model that they used during the time. Old Sparky.
Yeah, right.
So,
right, do you feel like no, not like that because that's a replica, but like, do you feel like items or like items or belongings or like the chair I'm sitting in could like hold my spiritual energy, and if somebody took this chair, say long after I passed, I could haunt them because my spirit's attached to this chair. Do you believe in stuff like that?
So you're talking about more or less like enchanted objects and things like that.
Like an attachment, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I actually own a few that have been were told to me that they were problematic for the people that owned them prior to me. I have had activity in my apartment, but that's also due to the fact that I have so many pieces from so many different properties. I mean, I have pieces from Eastern State Penitentiary. I have pieces of the building from Rolling Hills Asylum.
Wow.
I have a piece of property from Alcatraz. From my wife collects dirt samples and different samples from different serial killers. So I have dirt from the apartment complex Jeffrey Dahmer used to live in. I have all these different kind of objects and artifacts. So do I believe objects can hold energy? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
100% I believe they could, especially if you imprint on them, especially in the moment of death. Like, it's one of those things that you definitely can have an energy transference. I mean, you have to think about energy work and Reiki and things like that. That's all energy transference.
Of course. So you believe spirits can manifest this energy, or mimic this or use this energy to manifest themselves? Yes.
Well, let's say you have. I mean, I'll go very a broad topic here, and because it's the whole sensationalism now of everybody picking up, I have a haunted doll.
Yeah, of course.
Those are a dime a dozen. Like, you can go, like, up here in the New England area, we have a location called Savers, which is kind of like a Goodwill. And there are people that go and just buy these dolls from Savers or Goodwill or thrift stores or flea markets or whatever, and then turn around and be like, "Oh, this doll's haunted." No, show me the documentation on it. Show me the provenance on it. Where did it come from? You could tell me it's a 1912 doll, but no, Mattel made it in 1980 just to make it look like an old doll. So show me the provenance on it. Show me the paperwork on it.
Right. I knew a guy. I tried to show him the way a little bit. Was investigating years ago, and he claimed to buy a haunted doll because he wanted to have experiences. Like, why would you do that? And he brought it into his house. Like, why would you do that? No, you have the same thing. I'm not judging you, Russ, but like, why would you do that? And he's like, dude, like, I started having I've never had experiences in my house before, and I started having really scary things happen. And he got in touch with James Anito. James Anito. And James went and helped him out and helped him to alleviate his problem. But why would you invite that into your home if you don't actually want that in your home? You just want, hey, I got a Holland. Not the dog anything, Russ, but oh my god.
So no. There's two types of people out there. There are the people out there that say, I want a haunted object because I can say I have a haunted object. And then there's the people out there that respect the history, that know the story, that can handle a haunted object. People out there like John Zaffis that has been doing this for years. And I'm not even going to say haunted. I'm going to say problematic. And you have people like Danny and Lauren Perez, the Radicals.
Oh, I love Danny and Lauren Perez. Great people.
They can handle it. I'm an energy worker myself. I know I can handle. I have a net protection around my home to know I can handle whatever I bring into my home.
So what do you mean by? I know what you mean by protection, but for my viewers who don't know maybe what you're talking about, what are you talking about when you protect yourself from like haunted objects?
Once a week, I sage myself. I have a sage spray that I spray. I cleanse myself every time I shower. You know, I have multiple people out there that are highly known energy workers and spiritualists and things like that that have helped me along the way, whether it be with certain crystals or medallions or things like that. One of the dolls I actually own right now is sitting in a lantern case with salt and stones around it because of the activity. And even then, that's not really helping it, because every once in a while, the doll will kind of slump forward on its own. Like there should be no reason. This doll is sitting upright and will come out in the morning or whatever, and the doll's leaning against the glass in the front. So there should be no reason that's happening, but you know, it doesn't bother us.
Right. It's just,
you know,
noteworthy at this point.
It's kind of like, you know, my wife and I will be sitting here and we'll hear something, or, you know, something will happen and we're just like, oh, that's normal. You know, that, you know, we handle that.
People suggest like haunted, even talk about a haunted object, and automatically the negative goes right in your head, and you're thinking like, oh my God, it's a demon. This guy's bringing a demon,
you know,
attached to a doll into a house.
You bring up a haunted doll, and it automatically goes to Annabelle, Robert the doll. It goes to your most prolific dolls that are out there. And you know what? I've actually, and I'm not saying this in any disparaging way possible, because I've met Annabelle the doll twice now. And if you have the chance to actually go and meet her, definitely go and meet her, because it is just a cool thing to be like, yeah, I met the actual Annabelle doll.
Something to say,
but
I guess. Yeah.
For me, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, that's a doll. Like,
it's a cloth wrapped with some cotton stuff in it, and it kind of looks like a human. Like, but I'm all about energy. I do believe there's something to be said about that for sure. I think there's something to be said about like voodoo dolls and what you put into stuff and intentions. I do believe in all that. I do believe in attachments, and not all of it is negative. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. So I was investigating, as I said, I have a passion for history. I was investigating a museum that I've investigated probably 100 times. I've been in multiple times, had multiple paranormal experiences, whether I'm looking for them or not. But the first time I went in there, I took a medium with us, or should say paranormal. We went in there to investigate. They were featured on the last season of Ghost Hunters Taps. But anyway, the mediums kept picking up on this hat, and she kept mentioning this hat and hats off to you, and talking to the museum people that were with us for the investigation. And these guys were making like head storm's face. I'm like, oh shit, this is nothing. She's just like, I don't know anything about this history. I'm like, they gave us a whole tour of this place. None of this came up. She's talking about like this guy's name. She's like, what he did, his family in Rhode Island, letters that was sent back and forth, how his wife felt about him being at war. He was she was mentioning a man that was in the American Revolution. So the whole time I'm thinking like, this is crap. This is nothing. I'm like, this is just her like.
It's general history. It's kind of like reaching.
This isn't. It's just like she's just talking. She's doing more than reaching though. She's really telling some details about this guy. I'm like, I don't know if this lady's like, I don't know. So we finish up the session. We go downstairs. We collaborate a little bit, and the two museum guys came together, and they're like, oh my God, she knew about the hat, dude. It's like they going back and forth and talking about like this hat and like the hats off to you. How he kept going hats off to you, and like and the letters and stuff. She knew about the letters. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, this doesn't do this. So they have a hat at this building that I volunteer and I investigate at.
Varnum Armory.
Varnum Armory. The hat wasn't in the building. The hat was, in fact, in Philadelphia for the opening of the Museum for the American Revolution, which had opened that year. The hat was worn by a man by the name of Bonaja Carpenter. He's one of the founding members of the Rhode Island Train of Artillery, which is one of the founding organizations to the Rhode Island, to the U.S. Artillery. So, like, huge history. This guy was defending Washington's retreat at the tail end of the Battle of Long Island, which we got our asses handed to us by the British, and he was shot in the back of the head. During his time in the American Revolution, there are countless letters going back and forth to his wife. He had small children at home. She didn't want him to be away. She wanted him home with the kids. And he's like, no, this is a cause I believe in.
This is my American duty.
Exactly. And the hat, dude, it's in the Armory now. You can see it today. It's a leather bound. It's beautifully painted. It's blue. It looks like it did maybe in 1776 when he was shot wearing it.
Wow.
And so this lady, this spirit, while the hat wasn't even there, the spirit still was, and the spirit came through to us and was told so much detail. It just stuff like that just never like ceased to amaze me. How like it doesn't have to be awful and negative. It could be something like this guy that just gave his life for his country before it was even a country, and the love for his wife and his kids, and it still like holds on. I don't know. It's absolutely amazing. The Armory has like many tales of this. This is not the only one, but I mean, it's just amazing
it's
how
not always negative.
No,
it's really not. And you know what? Damien actually made a comment in the chat room, and I wanted to get to that. He says he wants to meet the Shadow Doll.
Okay. Ooh.
From
What's the Shadow Doll?
So the Shadow Doll is I got more weird vibes from the Shadow Doll than I actually did from Annabelle. It's another piece of artifact from the Warrens Museum. But the Shadow Doll itself is a very creepy figure to begin with, but the energy coming off of it is weirder than it is Annabelle. Now, I don't know if that's because they have the Annabelle case protected so much or whatever it may be, but it's definitely a different energy, Damien. It definitely is. I was creeped out more by the Shadow Doll than I was Annabelle.
So it's heavier? Is it a heavier?
It's a lot heavier of a feeling. I mean, if I could send you a picture of it or whatever, I mean, if you could like Google it and screen share it, the Shadow Doll is absolutely like
Shadow Doll.
It looks like
is it in a museum or something, or in somebody's house?
It's in the Warrens Museum.
Oh, the Warren Museum. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of the Warrens artifacts.
One of the only good things to come out of Connecticut, the Warren Museum. I'm sorry, Connecticut.
Fucking Connecticut,
dude. What an awful state to drive through. I'm sorry. Oh God.
I always make the joke when we drive from Massachusetts to Gettysburg. It's about an 8-hour drive with stops.
Yep.
So I always make the joke of like where we leave from Massachusetts. I'm like, oh yeah, it's only like an hour and a half to get through Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's 9 hours in Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut's disgusting.
And then you're in Gettysburg.
Yeah, right.
And that's exactly how it feels.
A little bit of New York, a little bit of New Jersey,
and then
2
boom,
hours
you're
of
there.
Pennsylvania, and then bam, you're in Gettysburg, which is
like.
lovely.
But I always make that joke, like when my wife and our friend are driving down there to Gettysburg, it is like the most cruelest, grueling, like 2 hours is driving through Connecticut.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because and then by the time you get to Bridgeport, well, for me anyway, by the time we get to like Bridgeport, you start hitting that New York traffic. Even though we take the Tappan Zee Bridge and go around, it's still it's disgusting. It's
you know what? I would rather grab the half an hour delay going to Tappan Zee instead of sitting in 4 hours of stop and go traffic on the GW.
Oh, I hate that. I avoid that at every possible. I've made the trip down south many times and avoid New York City as much as humanly possible. It's just not I don't know. It's just a lot of traffic, a lot of unnecessary people. Even though there's a lot of awful drivers up there on going over the Tappan Zee. I got this picture I'm trying to bring it up for us. Hold on, really quick. Please hold.
All right. So I believe if you go to present, you can do share screen.
I can. Yeah. I'm. Hold on a second. I saved the picture, which I'm gonna have to delete immediately because it's terrible. It's
Yeah,
here it is.
it has a weird feeling coming from it.
Yeah.
But Steve Kemet said he had an interesting experience with the shadow doll.
that's-
Yeah, see that thing's just
It's horrifying. That's why that would that
And-
evokes awful thoughts in my head just looking at it.
that tooth you see.
Yeah.
That's an actual baby tooth.
Oh. Why? Why? I'm gonna take her down. Why? Why does it have an actual baby tooth?
I
doll.
have no idea, but
Oh,
that's
God.
like one of the that's what things of nightmares are made of.
Absolutely. That's. I would never buy that doll for anybody, even my own sick, haunted purposes. It's just. It
I
turns
know
my stomach
people.
just looking at it.
The thing about it is I actually know people that would possess that doll, and they're about as crazy as they sound. So,
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Jen, you are right. It is a different language.
It speaks. All right. So this thing. What do you mean? It speaks a different. What do you?
Jen's a medium.
Oh, okay.
She is actually the girlfriend of Rich Valdez, who was on Eli Ross. Jen, help me out. Help me out. The name of the show. Legion of Exorcisms, I believe it's called, or Legion of Exorcists.
Okay.
Rich Valdez is another one you need to get on your show. Great guy. I've known Rich for years now.
Mhm.
But yeah, Jen, I definitely got a different. Yep, Legion of Exorcist.
The Legion of Exorcists.
Yeah, it's actually hosted by Eli Roth, which is kind of right on par with his personality and everything. But it was a great show. It was actually a really, really good show.
Mhm.
But yeah, the Shadow Doll is something. Yeah, Greetings from Beyond Radio podcast. It's actually also another show on Get Haunted.
Oh.
So reach out to them. The definitely Get Haunted hosts help out the Get Haunted hosts. So definitely, he'll jump on. Not a problem at all. You'll just have to catch him when he's not busy.
Of course.
But the Shadow Doll aside, like the whole sensationalism of
Mhm.
the haunted objects thing, because it seems now everybody, you had in the early 2000s, oh, I have a camera, I'm a photographer.
Mhm.
Now 2015, 17, oh, I have a mic and a computer, I'm a podcaster.
Yeah, right.
Now it's like, oh, I went and bought this haunted object, or it's supposedly haunted object. And that's what seems to be all the rage now. Like
I'm all set. I'm all set. I'm all right. I don't like
but
dolls.
it's also in my area to where I try to, if it's the person I am, if somebody's having difficulty with an object or something like that, I always try to alleviate the situation by taking it off their hands, because I know if I can't handle it or do something about it, I know people that can.
Right.
So
Well,
I can-
that's it. And that's what I'm like. There's you. There's like you said, Danny, and Lauren.
Yep.
I know Matty Warner has a haunted doll, right? That he whips out from time to time.
He has
and
he has
horrifies
a
people.
couple. Yep, he has a couple objects that are
Good for
that
you
are
guys.
quote unquote haunted. So
Somebody's
I don't-
gotta love ugly. I mean, somebody's gotta love it too. But I mean,
I don't tout them. I don't like, oh yeah, I own all these things and everything. No, I'm like, to me, they're historical pieces.
Mhm.
These are pieces that meant something to somebody at one time.
right.
So it's not necessarily even it being a haunted object. It's preserving that history as something that actually meant something to so much. And you have to remember, some of these haunted dolls, quote unquote, haunted dolls that are out there, used to be some little 6-year-old girl's doll that she absolutely loved.
Could have been,
And
or could be like. The
are we
death
going
doll
nefarious here?
and have the hair? You see the hair they take from like living people who've died, and put it on these dolls. Oh my God. No, thank you.
No, I mean, it was
Even like the baby
it
tooth.
could be Andy, he has a point there. It could be a male or female spirit attached to the doll. I mean, Wade Kirby could have told you at the Shanley that it was a male spirit. But it definitely looks like a female doll. So I think that's where they go with it. But I mean, it's up to interpretation. I mean, unless I have a line of mediums and energy workers lining up at an object and they give me the same answer multiple times in a row,
Right.
then it's kind of like it's open for interpretation.
I would think so.
It's kind of like those I Spy books or those books that like you have to stare at the dots until like a picture becomes like ready to you. Everybody can see something different.
Right. Now, how do you, with seeing things in the paranormal, so you're either on the side of it or you're not. I tend to find myself not really on the side of it. How do you feel about orbs and people capturing all this paranormal phenomena with digital technology? Is it real?
This is a very difficult one because you have those staunch believers that they're like, this was my grandmother. I swear to God, this was my grandmother. I've seen orbs firsthand. Waverly Hills. I did an investigation at Waverly Hills. And we were on the bottom floor. And if nobody's ever been to Waverly Hills, the bottom floor of Waverly Hills, all the windows are completely blacked out. There is no light coming into that first floor. Nothing. So it is like you hold your hand in front of your face, you can't see it. And I actually saw a physical glowing orb go down the hallway in an independent moving pattern. And it couldn't have been a bug because of the way it was moving and things like that. As far as orbs coming out in photography, there are a lot of environmental factors people don't take into account.
Not at all, dude. But go on.
Whether it be humidity and moisture in the air if they're doing outside pictures, humidity and moisture in the air when they're doing inside pictures.
Right.
I love these people that walk into a location that take a picture. They just walked through this ballroom and they turn around and take a picture and they're like, oh my God, there's so many orbs. And I'm like, no, you just walked across a hardwood floor that probably hasn't been swept or mopped in I don't know how long. And all you're doing is kicking up dust.
For sure. That's usually my biggest complaint.
And people it's like
people will send me photos. I got one the other day. They're like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I'm like, what am I looking at? And they're like, "Oh, that big white orb right there." Like, okay, well, you're taking a picture. Just like I'm like, look at the contents. I'm like, show me the whole room first of all. Right now, you look at the contents of the picture. You're taking a picture with a flash camera. Right across from you is a window. And you can see the flash in the window, and then on the orb that you're seeing is the reflection of that flash.
And you get the light refraction from the window, a glass case. You know, it could even be off a metal doorknob.
Right, exactly. Or the ways, exactly. Or the way something like looks in the reflection of a piece of glass. Oh my God, that's a demon. No, it's probably not a demon. It's probably something just like distorted by the way you're looking at it, and through a reflection of something on the floor. You know, it's just.
And you know what? There have been private home investigations where I've done where it's been a 60 or 70-year-old woman. Her husband had just passed away 6-7 months prior.
Yep.
You know, she's like, oh, I took a picture and I got this in there. I think it's my husband.
Yep.
And those are one of the things where you kind of err on the side of caution. And you're like, if that's what you believe it is, then by all means, you know, if that gives you comfort, then by all means. You know, but in a public investigation, places like your Waverly Hills, your big locations where you're getting these orbs and stuff like that. And that's the one big thing I hate about outdoor investigations is you're using flash photography, a bug, a mosquito.
Right.
will show up as a solid figure in a picture.
Rain from that morning, the moisture in
Yep.
the air will pop up and like, oh my god, I got an orb. No, dude, it rained earlier, and that's probably what you're saying.
The only pictures I really tend to believe on, if there's something that is a solidity of a figure or something that's not right, that you could tell is just not right, that shouldn't be there.
For sure. Now, there's been times also where I haven't seen these orbs, but the co-host, the guy who co-hosts the mid card, he's my video guy for Three Dudes Brews. He's been investigating with me for 12 years now. He's one of my closest friends, Joe Britland. He sees regular when we're in a complete blackness. He's like, dude, I see like a little pinprick of light. And this guy is the least feely guy with the paranormal. He never, we went to like SK and everybody's like, ooh, I feel this, ooh, I feel that. He's like one of the most grounded people I think I know, but he sees these like pinpricks of light, and Matty Warner described it. I'm like, oh wow, that's like the same thing as Joe. So I get it where you can see things, but I think people are just like with anything in the paranormal, people are so quick to jump on like, oh my god, it's a ghost. Rather
You
than
know what? And I'm not going to discourage anybody out there. Like I said, I've been doing investigating for 27 years. I started back in the days of bells on a string and baby powder.
Right. Wow, look at you.
You know, and you know, now we've come so far.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
we really have. And honestly, I believe I don't trust a lot of the equipment these days.
It's just noise and whistles and flashes and
that's all it is.
And
people are like, oh, the flashing light, and it's like, okay, great.
It's a ghost. How do you know it's a ghost? Because the light's blinking. What does that matter? What does that mean? Anything? It doesn't. It means nothing. I don't. And they're charging you $500, $600 for some of this stuff that really you could build on your own and spend far less money. But no, it's.
Well, actually, funny you say that. My good friend Ian Murphy, who came down with me to Gettysburg this past weekend, he is a very hyper-focused kind of person, and he actually will look at a piece of equipment that somebody else has and pick it apart and analyze it and go, I could build this for $3.
Right.
And he actually has. I've given him challenges before and he's come through. So what's your take on when equipment has a controversial reaction to questions? Depending on the equipment.
It totally depends.
Because it definitely depends on the equipment, because, you know, mag lights, that was a big trend with the flashlight session. People didn't understand the properties of thermodynamics. Where you are conversational. Oh, okay. Not a controversial reaction to questions. Conversational. Like it's reacting to the questions you're asking. With something like that, honestly, I think you need to time it. When the lights go on, when the lights go off, you need to time it from how long the lights stay on, how long the lights stay off. And you need to look for a pattern. If there is no pattern, then it's something more to look into. So a yes or no box having consistent answers to questions that have been reworded. I've done that multiple times, Ian, where I've asked multiple different questions multiple different times in multiple different areas. You know, when I go in, I like to do like with an EMF. I'll go into a location and go, okay, so tell me what decade you died in. Did you die in the 1910s? Did you die in the 1920s, 1930s? And then I'll get a hit.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I document that in my head. And then I'll go back and I'll ask another question. And then I'll go back to that same question and go, okay, tell me when you died again. Did you die in the 1940s? Did you die in the 1920s? And I'll mix it up. Ian, I was thinking the same thing. I don't know what Buddy's doing over there, but like it sounds like he's playing with a piece of equipment over there.
I'm hitting the air conditioner. It keeps flipping off. I keep flipping it back on. Oh.
But you know, it's one of those things where if you can get a consistent answer, rewording the question, then that might be something more to look into, and that may be a solid answer that you're getting. But don't
Right.
take me. I'm not a professional. I do this as a hobby. You know, this is something that just interests me. So I mean, there are professional equipment makers out there. There are professional audio engineers. There are professional, videographers and, photographers and things like that. But like, come through the Etsy. Does he mean does he mean Etsy?
Etsy.
The Etsy's method, I believe. That's
Oh, the
maybe what he's trying
STs.
to.
Oh, that is an interesting method. Have you ever tried the STs method, Russ?
I have.
What are your thoughts?
I don't like to put myself out there, but I am also a medium, so I can go into a trance sort of state. And the one and only time I've done an Etsy's method, I went into so deep of a trance, I actually had to be taken out of it, like to the point somebody had to come up and like actually like bring me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, larger shopping at Walmart, maybe an extra large if on Temu.
That's great. I've had some unique experiences with myself. I've done it at the an old jail that we used to host events at, and we had a team come from New Jersey, and they.
All right, buddy, give me 2 seconds. Continue with that thought. I'm going to use the restroom really quick.
Use the restroom, Russ. So we tried it out, and they put the thing on my eyeballs, and they had the red light, and they had the thing on the headphones, and it just white noise. And I was just sitting there listening. I was in a jail that was built in 1790. You guys on YouTube? Yes, we're on YouTube. Check us out. Check out my channel at A Van Down by the Riv Podcasts. You can see all of our great podcasts. Anyway, all you hear is the white noise, and then suddenly, like a male voice comes in, and it's a muttering. It's just this guy just standing there, just talking to me, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. Then he kind of like got faded away, and it was a man in the background just screaming at me. Was it? I don't know. I couldn't. All I get is it's coming through here. Is that the SD's method? No, the SD's method is when they do something, like EVP from another room, or no, they do ESP from another room, and you can experience it in the. I'm not sure if anybody in the chat room can help me out with this SC method. Russ brings up a phone of Jenny Davis doing it. Oh, okay. Well, maybe when Russ comes back, he can tell us more. Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
Russ,
so that is actually a picture of Jenny doing an Etsy's method. I don't remember where it's at, and I don't know why when I pause my screen, that's her picture that comes up, but I don't know. But the Etsy's, I mean, there's several different oh, now Ian's in here as the moderator. Okay, Ian. Oh yeah, he jumped on YouTube. Okay. There's several different methods. I mean, Bonnie, I know you're listening. You're probably not driving. I know Chris is probably driving. Poor guy. But they have the Etsy's method. They have the Delco method.
What's Delco? What's that? Please.
Delco, I've never done. I've heard things about it. Bonnie, if you can explain the Delco method, it's I'm not very familiar with it. I just heard it in mention. So like I said, I'm not going to act like I know what it is. So I'm not going to give an explanation. I'm not going to bullshit my way through it because I really don't know. I've never personally done it myself. I'm sorry. I'm feeling my leg, and like I just ran across a part that has actually been waxed. So it's like, oh, hair smooth. Oh, what the hell?
Baby
but
soft.
Yeah, Delco, you use goggles, and I think it has like lights in it that kind of like
right. It was like a red light. I think I was talking about with goggles, and all I saw was red, and I could hear like the white noise in the background, and then I could hear like different voices coming through the white noise. I don't know if that was. I was told that was the SDs, but I don't think that was the SDs method. Now that I've educated myself a little bit, or maybe it was I don't know. What's this?
See, I think it's one of those things. Jenny has the Delco glasses that have a red light that can either a solid or blinking.
Then that's what
it's okay. So Ian just said it's a scam. He did it at Wilson as a guinea pig, but you also have to remember Ian. He just got into investigating. I want to say probably about 2 years ago. So he is a very big skeptic on things, not just in the paranormal field, but in everything.
You should be.
So,
Absolutely.
but that's one thing I give to every investigator that's coming into the field. I tell them, don't be afraid to question things. Literally question everything.
Absolutely.
Because everybody takes things for face value these days.
Right, exactly.
And
I see the Virgin Mary in this muffin. Well, that's great, but I mean, I don't know that it's actually the Virgin Mary. It might just your eyes, like, what is that? Matrixing, might be matrixing. There's probably a more technical word for that, but
hallucinating, matrixing, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
there's a fun scientific word I'm sure I'm missing here, but
Adam Kimmel at, I believe, Madison has a room called the Devil's Toy Box.
Ooh.
Now, what it is it's a single chair sitting inside a room that's lined with mirrors. And I guess there have been some pretty trippy shit that has happened in that room.
Really?
So, what's my preferred method to use?
I was just going to ask you, Russ, what's your favorite method to use to communicate with spirits?
Sitting down, shutting up, and just listening.
Right. That works. Usually they have enough to say.
If you listen, they'll talk.
For sure. My go to is always,
bro, is your like AC over there like on the fritz or something?
Dude,
or
it just keeps coming in and out. I think it's the first time it's been used this year in this window. And I struggle with technology. I struggle with electronics. Russ, I have a big beard. I was meant to be like a man of the woods, I guess. I'm really good at
the only thing you don't struggle with is finding good beer.
Right. And I have a podcast. A friend of mine is like, dude, we should do a podcast about beer. I'm like, sign me up. Let's go. Let's talk about it. And he's like, we just go to different breweries and we talk about their beer. And we yeah, let's go. Let's do it. And here we are.
I got 3 within driving distance of my house. And when I say driving distance, I mean like 10 minutes apart.
Tell me, I might have been there. Go ahead.
You have Barrel House Z.
I haven't been there yet, but go on.
You have, there's one in Marshfield. It's called, why am I forgetting the name of it? It's a really Stellwagen.
Yeah, I know Stellwagen. Yep.
And then there's another one right down the street. Warner's the one on the breweries. He's the big beer IPA guy and things like that. I'll enjoy them, here and there. But I would love come up this way, dude. I mean, definitely come up this way, and we'll all go out with you guys, and we'll hit up a couple breweries around here, and we'll do a couple different things. So that'd be awesome to do.
I am always down. I got Father Bob Bailey who's been trying to get me in. He's like, yeah, I'll come on your show and drink beers. I'm like, that sounds great, Father Bob. I'm like, meet us at this brewery, meet us at that one. We haven't gotten together
I'm sorry, that kind of makes me chuckle a little bit, like.
Right.
Like, okay, Father Bob, let's just come on and get tanked on air. Why not?
Demonologist and Catholic priest. Let's bless the beer and drink it.
I need a young priest and an old priest.
It's great, man. It's a great thing. Beer is a beautiful thing, and to be able to go on a podcast, it's pre-recorded, so all we do is just, like I said, Joe records it, and we tool it up and we throw it out there once. We only do it once a month because God knows I drink enough and I'm fat enough, so I don't need any more beer in my life, even though I probably need more beer in my life. But
so is that your cheat day?
It's my cheat day. Yeah, I oh my God, it's just to talk about like the great things that people do with beer, the great tastes that they manifest. It's not every beer is yellow and disgusting and like the beer that your father drank. So not to say your father drank awful beer, but just like it's not, when you think of beer, it's not like just beer anymore. It's like IPAs, and it's not just the hipsters. I'm not a hipster, and I love IPAs. I love sours. I love.
See, I'm a good sour fan. I like a good sour.
If you like good beer around your area, Russ, Vitamin C Brewing is really good. They're up there in Weymouth. Right up that area also is the Widowmaker Brewing.
Yep.
They have a lovely peanut butter stout. Trillium, one of my top 10 of all time, is right up that way.
Stouts are a good steak beer. A good heavy beer with a good heavy meal.
See, I wouldn't go in that direction, but go.
See, that's like Ian. He drinks Guinness all the time, and I'm Irish as they come, and I
Yeah.
enjoy a good Guinness, but he'll put down a 6-pack of them, no problem at all. And me, I'm just like 1 or 2 goes a long way.
Right. Oh, yeah. Stouts are strong. They're known to be a little bit stronger. The imperial stouts being the strongest, made to travel long distances over long periods of time. Usually high rates of alcohol.
One of the stouts that I love is actually it's called Sam Smith, and it's a chocolate stout.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
That one is chef's kiss, like that.
So there's a brewery here in Rhode Island. It's called Long Live Brewing. It's you can find it right downtown, west side of Providence, south side of Providence. It's in an old mill. They do a lot of IPAs, but they do chocolate and they do dessert stouts. Is one of their biggest things.
Ooh.
They did a desserts. I got it for Christmas. I brought one to Christmas with me. It was a growler, so like 32 ounces.
Yep.
It was called Bad MF from Hell. It was basically like drinking brownie batter, and it was 14.9% alcohol by volume. So I could only really drink one without like being blackout drunk at the family Christmas. But oh my god, just like how am I still drinking beer at this point? It's just like so amazing. But,
Jen, I agree with you. Jen Richardson in the chat. Yes, I am Scottish and Irish mixed as well. So yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you can't tell.
No, not at all. Not at all. There's no Irish here.
Yes, Jack Daniel's honey is very smooth. I've been told I have to stay away from whiskey because I get a little the Irish in me comes out, and if anybody that's Irish knows what happens when you have a couple whiskeys.
Ugh. Yeah, I've moved towards the Scotch in my older years, in the middle of my life, because it's such an appreciation for anybody who can make a delicious whiskey and then put it in a barrel and let it age for like 18, 27, 36 years even. It's a lifetime. How could you something about it, and then the taste is like just beautiful. But again, I can't drink many of those because my Irish pancreas says no, buddy. You've done enough damage over the years. And
see, and you were bringing up the whole stout thing about the whole like the brownie batter kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where I was at, but my buddy introduced me to a beer. It was a stout, but it was a chocolate raspberry stout.
Ooh.
And I tell you what, it was one of the smoothest stouts I've ever drank in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is, like 1 or 2 stouts, I have a very sensitive stomach, and it weighs stouts weigh on your stomach very heavy.
Wicked heavy. But sure,
so 1 or 2 go a long way.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh my God. It's like a brick in your stomach sometimes.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Damien, if you like some tequila, try, if you can get your hands on it over in Scotland, try Cabo Wabo tequila.
Oh, yes.
Cabo Wabo is
Sammy Hagar.
Sammy Hagar. It is some of the smoothest tequila I have ever tasted in my life.
For sure.
And I would go with the blue agave one, not the gold. The blue agave Cabo Wabo. Literally no salt, no lime needed. You could just shoot that straight, and it goes down so smooth.
It's perfect. It's wonderful. Something about the appreciation for being able to appreciate the flavors behind this, and not just be like,
yeah,
oh my God.
It's not just a shooter where you take it and have that 2 seconds of taste to it, and then it's gone. It's like I like a good sipping. I like There's talking about there is. I'm a big fan of Jameson. That's my.
Oh yes.
That's my go-to is Jameson. Jameson released a cold brew coffee Jameson.
Mm-hmm. I've had it. It's pretty good.
And that is a good sipper. Like you can sit there and sip on that because you get that little bit of kick of Jameson, but you get that smooth taste of coffee.
That's a bummer, Damien. It's all about the flavor. It's all about the taste.
Beer's
now for me. I'll pour a beer in a nice glass, in what they call that, a tulip glass. I'll smell it. You get something from the smell, like you can pick up on
the citrus
notes, right?
Yep.
You sip the beer, you get the taste in the front of your mouth. You get the taste as it's like going down your throat. It's a different taste. One perfect example of that. So a brewery out here in Rhode Island, it's called Vigilant. It's in Bristol. We filmed episode 3 of Three Dudes Brews. They have a beer. They make it like twice a year. It's called Peanut Butter and Jelly. It's a sour ale, but there's nothing sour about it. You crack it open, you pour it out, and it varies by each time they make it, but it's about the same. You smell it, it's like circus peanuts. It's like, oh my god. Then you drink it, and it's like jelly going down the back of your throat. It's so like how they can capture that flavor and just the smell and it's genius. So it's not all about like chugging beers and getting drunk.
It's not about the alcohol percentage. It's not
the
about like
appreciation.
getting wasted. It's about the taste and the flavor of the beer, because there's nothing better than having a good beer that tastes good. You know, you have your everyday drinking beers, and then you have your beers that you'll have every once in a while that you appreciate.
Oh, for sure. Like those Miller Lights I'll drink like 12 of them after I mow the lawn and still be able to like go do stuff, you know. Those are not beers that I sit and enjoy. Those are like water beer. That's like you know, a good summertime beer. I'm still functional after I drink them. Where if I have like more than 4 craft beers, I'm like, holy shit, buddy.
You stand up, and you
about to
felt
go
like you've been on a
bye-bye.
ship. Yeah, you stand up and you feel like you've been on a ship the entire day.
I thought speaking in the third person, buddy's feeling pretty good about himself. And yeah, things get a little out of hand usually, but you got to know your limits, and it's good to know your limits. And
Definitely, please drink responsibly.
Always drink responsibly. Speaking of knowing your limits, Russ, I don't think we're going to see Bams tonight. I think he had more internet issues than I did. But what's your anticipation? I know you're a Browns fan. My condolences. What are your expectations of Deshaun Watson this year and the Cleveland organization? Anything positive to take away?
Defense is going to be stellar.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have the best defensive back on the Browns line there in Myles Garrett.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can't even argue that man's a beast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, and I know I hear a lot of people say TJ Watt. I hear people say, you know, all this other shit. But we have, you know, Nick Chubb coming back, full recovery. Like I just watched a video of him squatting 560 pounds, and he did it like it was nothing.
Right.
And Deshaun Watson went out with a major knee injury, and I've sat there and I've watched his recovery, and
he just shook it right off like it was nothing.
Oh God, like it was nothing. Like I don't know if he went to the same place Aaron Rodgers did for his Achilles or something, but I mean, you know, Cleveland, I have some hope for this year because maybe this will make it year 3 of actually having a winning season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they showed some promise for sure.
You know, being a Browns fan living in New England, it was hard for me at first. And no offense to any people out there, New England wise, that are listening or anything like that. But hearing you guys piss and moan and complain about, oh, we suck, we don't have a winning team. And I'm like,
what's that like? Yeah, right.
Welcome to my life for the last 25 years.
Yeah, it's New England is not a great area to live in if you're not a Patriots fan. Even if you are a Patriots fan nowadays, it's not a great area to live in. But I'm a lifelong Dolphins fan. Don't ask me how that started. It's weird how that started. But I've been a Dolphins fan my whole life. When we were winning and the Patriots were losing, and then when we were losing and the Patriots were winning, and we were still losing and the Patriots were still winning, and now we've beaten the Patriots several times in their house, in our house. We just can't.
I mean, now the Dolphins got to pay Tyreek because I mean he just had his 12th kid with his like 6th baby mama. So I mean,
dude,
you know,
that guy gets around, dude. He has not worked on his pullout game at all. In the words of Mike McDaniels, such a brilliant football coach and lovely press conferences.
Oh God, I love his press conferences. I'm not, like I said, I am not a Miami fan at all, but I will watch Mike McDaniels conferences because they are just gold.
Right. I hate the New England Patriots, but I spent the last like 20 years listening to Bill Belichick and laughing my ass off because I think he was the best ever with the media. He's just, I don't know. He's the only part of the New England franchise that I can say, like, oh man, he was the best.
Did you watch? Okay, so being in New England, and I know you're not a New England fan and everything like that, but did you watch the roast of Tom Brady?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I hated Tom Brady for 20 years. Of course I watched that.
Okay. I mean, that was hands down comedy gold.
That was it was awesome. And it started a little
See,
slow.
I know
but-
I was lucky enough that I actually caught the live. I caught it when it was live,
Mhm.
and I guess from what I understand, excuse me, Netflix went back and like redacted some of it and edited it down and everything like that. So what people are watching now, if they didn't see it live,
It's not the original,
you're missing so much.
Right.
But in that moment when, God, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Kevin Hart. I don't know who it was, but called up Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick up to the stage to do a shot together. Oh my God. He
That was
cut
great.
tension with a knife. Holy shit.
Right. I mean, Gronk handled himself pretty well. They do start Gronk.
Gronk didn't know where the fuck he was. Sorry. Gronk and also Bledsoe did not know where the hell they were.
Oh, right. Yeah, Bledsoe was.
He was tanked. But all in all, it was a great roast. It was a great time, even if you're not a New England fan. See, I watched it out of respect because you know what? My wife, New England for life. She's been here since she was born. She's been a Patriots fan. Her dad has season tickets. He goes to all the games. He's asked me to go, and I'm just kind of like, not my kind of thing.
Yeah.
If the Browns play New England, fuck yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, for sure.
And I am glad because it was actually the second time her and I got married. Because we got married once during COVID, and then we had the big wedding the year after.
Right.
The Browns were playing New England.
Oh, boy. Yep.
Oh, there's the fly, Eagles fly. Okay.
Here they come. I'll
give the Eagles credit because, you guys lost a big part in Kelsey this year. So you're going to have to protect Jalen Hurts at all possible costs.
For sure.
But, the Browns played New England. Actually, you know what? It may have been the 2020 season. And I talked to my wife and I was like, I would love nothing more to go see the Browns play New England. And I think it rained all day that day. And it was the first game that Tom Brady came back from his suspension for Deflategate.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And just absolutely decimated the Browns.
Yeah.
And I watched it on TV. I went and bought myself a 30 rack, and I'm just sitting here at home, and I'm like,
crying.
I'm so glad we did not go to this game. I think the score was like 54 to 7 or something like that. It was
the Tom Brady FU tour. Yeah, that was. I remember
that's literally what it is. And I was like, you know what? I do not like Tom Brady, but I respect the bastard.
Yeah, I hate it. I spent 20 years talking nothing but shit about the man, but he's when he finally retired and he was actually done, I'm like, yep, all right, he's the greatest of all time. He did amazing things. Just when you counted him out, he comes back from these incredible deficits and like Superman, like Michael
I don't know
Jordan.
how the hell he does it. But I mean, like I said, there's a difference between respect and liking.
Right.
I don't like him because he's a cocky son of a bitch. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, Ohio State fan here. He went to Michigan. So sorry. See you later, Damien. Be safe going home. I know you got a 2-hour drive back. Yeah, Ian's right. He just caught up the conversation. Now, stouts and ale may have higher calories, but they don't have the carbonation that bloats you. So you can feel more in, but you'll feel it more later.
Amen.
There's a difference between liking and respecting, and I respect the man all to hell because he's put up summer records that'll probably never be beaten.
Right.
But I don't like him. He's a cocky son of a bitch, and he thinks he was better than everybody else. But you know what? That could be the same thing said for LeBron. That could be the same thing said for Jeter. That could be the same thing said for, anybody out there playing sports,
And he was, I got to give the devil his dues. He wasn't like he is cocky, but he could be throwing it in our face, or he could have thrown it in our faces so much more.
Oh yeah.
Like LeBron, for example, and he just kind of
Careful with LeBron. Remember where he came from.
You're a Cleveland fan. Of all nights with Bam Smith, my co-host is not an Ohio State University fan. He's a University of Miami fan. He's also a Patriots season ticket holder, and he does not have good things to say about the teams that emanate from Ohio. Hence my little Ohio thing on the Facebook today. He has said that not a lot of good things come out of Ohio. I was hoping to convince him otherwise this evening, Russ, but he didn't.
You know what? He can go back and listen. And I tell you what. You know what? The Cavs, sans LeBron, have done fantastic.
They made it to the playoffs this year, right? They
yes, they did. They got beat by the Celtics, and I wish I could have gone to one of the playoff games at TD, but I wasn't able to.
You got to sell your car to make it to one of those events, so that's.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Like I'm not gonna sell a kidney to be able to go to a sporting event. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen.
It's just, you get better seats and on watching it from TV. In most cases,
I don't have to wait in line to go to the bathroom, and I get free beer.
Right, exactly. You don't have to wait in line for beer, wait in line. Yeah.
But you know what? The Cavs have a strong young roster. They went ahead and spent the money and re-signed the players that their core values are.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron is from Akron. He actually owns a place in right outside Akron. I'm not sure if it's Bath, but interesting fact, Jeffrey Dahmer actually grew up and was born in a house in Bath, Ohio. So fun fact from Ohio there. But yeah, the fucking weird shit that comes out of my head. But sans LeBron, like I expected fully. Like I knew the minute that the Lakers this year drafted Bronny Jr. that there was no way. I expected Bronny to come, or I expected Bron to come back to Cleveland to finish out his career and retire a Cav.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you never know.
And then Bronny played in Cleveland because you knew he was going to go to whatever team LeBron went to. So I don't know. It's just,
you know what? Honestly, and Cleveland has, and I will say this: LeBron set up Cleveland for where they are now.
All right. Well, yeah, that's fair. That's a fair estimate.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Cleveland has thrived since he's left. Yes, the first couple years after he's left, they had a few rough years and everything, but that was the growing pains. They had to re-sign an entire new roster. I mean, you lost, yes, Ian, we know Smorgasm and Al Pacino's. That was all Ian was drinking this past weekend. And trust me, that I will say the Smorgasm, it's a bourbon that, correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, I believe it's a bourbon, but it is a bourbon that tastes just like s'mores. So you have that sweet on the front, but you have that burn of the bourbon on the back.
Oh,
it's actually it's very dangerous, but I guess you can only get it in PA.
Oh well, shit! I'm gonna have to make another trip to Pennsylvania then. I guess.
Well, Ian brought 2 bottles back with him.
Oh, there you go.
Because he fell in love with it. But I mean, Laura, it may be available in Ohio. I don't know. It's just not available here on the East Coast. But getting back to the sports thing, Cleveland has now been set themselves up into a position that they have strived leaps and bounds without him.
Mm-hmm.
And at his age at 39, he's still playing high caliber basketball, but there's going to be that decline.
Oh yeah.
Eventually it's going to happen.
I mean, he's gotten like less great in the last few years. He's not as like over
explosive
the top,
as he used to be.
Yeah, right. But I mean, he's like you said, he's 39 years old. So, all right, let me ask you that one. If you're a LeBron James fan, Russ, I got to ask you. I mean, it's a pretty obvious answer for me, but I'll pitch this one out to you. LeBron James, Michael Jordan. What do you stand?
We're gonna go there. Are we looking at stats, or are we looking at
however you want to look at
overall performance?
Overall performance.
I mean, I've met both players. I watched LeBron play in high school because
Jesus.
I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. So I was only 30 minutes from where he played at St. Vincent St. Mary.
Wow.
So I watched him play in high school. I graduated high school the same year he did.
Wow.
You know, I watched him play in high school games. Very talented player coming out of high school. I mean, the last player ever drafted straight out of high school because they saw what happened to him. So they were like, nope, we're done. You have to do at least a year in college before you can even enter the draft. So it was great seeing that. But I mean, the overall greatness of it, and this kills me to say, especially coming from Ohio, but I think Jordan has this in the bag because,
For sure.
you know, Jordan never went out and built a super team where he is done in LA, Cleveland, and Miami. So, I mean, the whole term super team never even started until him in Miami.
I mean,
When he brought in
slouch,
Dwayne
like,
Wade and Chris Bosh,
true,
and then
you can't-
Kevin Love and everything else, like, yeah, you can't, like, it's not, yeah, you need to have a good supporting cast of characters around you, but you also, you know, need to stand on yourself. You know, and that's what Jordan did. Like, granted, yes, he had Pippen, he had Rodman, he had, you know,
Philly Jackson. I mean, there's some throw some names out there, but I mean, he wasn't setting out to do that. That's just the way it ended up being. You know,
they were a team where it was LeBron and his cast of characters. That's what it is now. So,
honestly, seeing them both play, I know I just think, like, at the time, I hated Michael Jordan because that's all people talked about. No one talked about Larry Bird like they talked about Michael Jordan. But, like, just going back and watching this guy, like, seeing the way this guy played, it's like, you just don't see that, like, skill anymore. Just he's, like, next level, you know?
Now, okay, let me pose a question to you.
Okay, please.
Do you think LeBron could have played in the era of Michael Jordan?
Oh, I think he could have. Yeah, I think he could have. I don't know if he'd be as dominant because there were I feel like there was a lot more dominant ball players in the 1980s and 90s.
At one point, LeBron James' nickname was La Flop.
Okay.
Now we're talking the days of physical basketball where you had Rodman, O'Neal, Jordan, Larry Bird, Stockton, like physical players.
Right.
They're not going to, like, you look at, I mean, even go back to the days of the Houston Rockets legacy where you had Olajuwon and, you know, everybody on there. That was physical basketball. These days, you sneeze or breathe in the wrong direction, the ref's calling a technical.
Oh, yeah, right. That babies nowadays. You could say that with almost any sport, though, I think.
The only player that has come out of modern day basketball, actually two players, and I will say this, and one's from Ohio and one ended up on a team in Ohio. They were very physical players and they were scrappy and people did not like it. And that would be Aaron Kraft from Ohio State basketball. He was scrappy as shit. He was a smaller guy, but I tell you what, he could ball out. The second one, being part of the Cavaliers championship in 2016, was Matthew Dellavedova, who was an Australian rugby player until he switched to basketball and got picked up. And he is a scrappy, in-your-face, go at you, straightforward, no shits to give, right at you. And people did not like that.
Oh, I bet. Basketball is so sensitive.
It honestly is. I mean, you know what? I can say the same thing now because football's kind of getting the same way.
Yeah, it's almost going flag football.
I get it, player safety and all this and everything else, but, like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, let them play.
Right.
Let them play. You know, I don't agree with it. Like, I loved, and you know what? My entire opinion changed this year. Because I used to love watching college football more than I did professional football.
Oh, all day. Yeah, for sure.
Because I was always like, these kids are playing for their career.
Mhm.
They are playing to put the stats on the board to be able to get drafted, to fulfill their dream to play in the NFL.
Right.
Now, these
Yeah,
college
yeah.
kids are making more in NIL money
It's
than they would
disgusting.
make on a rookie contract if they got drafted first round.
Right. Right.
Like
20,
you have
20 years ago, it would have been a controversy. If you're getting paid, if you get blue chips, they made money. They made a movie about the awful controversy of college kids getting paid money to play sports. They're
Ohio
getting
State.
tips.
Ohio State, the days of Jim Trussell.
Yep.
Their championship they won that was almost voided because players were trading pants, jerseys, t-shirts, whatever for tattoos.
Oh yeah, right.
And it was a whole NCAA investigation and, you know, all that bullshit. And it was like, and now these kids are getting handed free $130,000 cars
Mm-hmm.
to drive around on campus.
That girl that just graduated from UConn. She went in the WNBA. She was making like $3 million. Yeah, it's no name. I forgot her name.
Oh, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark, and now she's playing the WNBA, making like $300,000 a year. But she was making more in college.
She's making $300,000 a year. By her WNBA contract, she's making $300,000 a year or whatever. I think her rookie contract was only like $77,000 or something like that for the first year.
Yeah,
but she's getting paid by Nike $3.2
Yeah,
million.
That's probably a much bigger paycheck.
Then all her other sponsorships.
Yeah.
That's where these players are becoming more and more rich. I mean, that's why LeBron James is a billionaire now.
Right.
Because it's his sponsorships. They're making more off their sponsorships by coming on TV for 30 seconds going, Gatorade, quench my thirst.
Right.
Done. There's $2 million in your bank account right there.
And that's Michael Jordan. I mean, when you're talking about people making money off of products, like he probably might have not have been the first one to do it. Probably was the first one to do it best. Man made more money off of sneakers than he did off of basketball by leaps and bounds, I'm sure, you know. So
because he was smart and took stock option. He didn't take. I don't know if anybody out there has ever watched the the movie based off of him being drafted and brought into UNC and everything like that, and a shoe being made for him. And I think Matt Damon's in the movie. I can't remember exactly who it was, and I can't remember the name of the movie exactly. It was a good movie. But his parents were smart, and they were like, no, we're going to take stock options and royalties instead of the one-time payout.
Yeah, there you go.
And now he's like, he's one of the only ones besides for LeBron, Kobe, and somebody else that has a lifetime contract with Nike.
Good deal.
Oh, also, for the people out there that don't know, old school baseball, happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Oh, Bobby Bonilla. Look at that.
The Mets still have to pay him for like another 20 years. Like, yeah. I mean, this dude's just sitting there still getting paid every year from a contract.
And he hasn't played in well over
20 some years?
Yeah, right. Like wild.
Easy. Yes, Laura, Michael Jordan was in the original Space Jam. LeBron James was in the new Space Jam.
The original and the wannabe. The difference.
Yes. Yes. Well, let's talk baseball.
Oh, please, let's the
Guardians are beating the shit out of it. I'm sorry. I just killed myself a little bit there. The Indians.
Yes. They will always be the Indians for us.
Chief Wahoo till I die. Are beating the shit out of the AL right now.
Yeah, the top of the Central. They just made two big moves today. They picked up Alex Cobb, outfielder, and they picked up. Oh God, let me look at my notifications here because I have it all up here now. I kind of kept my notifications up for the sports because I knew like
I was coming on here, so I was kind of like, I kind of got to look smart here a little bit.
Chat some ball. Yeah, sure.
But yeah, they made some big moves. They signed Alex Cobb from, I believe it was the Giants. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But they also picked up somebody else. But the problem they're having right now is that their bullpen's dwindling.
Yes.
Like,
that's always the problem.
Clase is doing great for them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is unpopular opinion, and this is just going to be me. I believe the Indians should throw out a $5 million 2-year contract to fucking Trevor Bauer.
Oh, he's a great pitcher, dude.
Bring him back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
He is clutch. He is a great pitcher. He's done fantastic in the AAA division and exhibition games and everything, playing in Japan and whatnot. Controversy? I'm sorry. If you want controversy, Cleveland can't get any more controversial. We signed a fucking quarterback that was accused of touching 30-some women, and he's still getting paid $230 million guaranteed.
Right. He's still a hell of an athlete, even though we, just did a few.
I was not a fan of that signing, but, it is what it is.
Dude, your city, your Cleveland Browns are not known for their wonderful picks at quarterback. I think Cleveland has probably had more first-round draft picks that they've picked, and they've just wiped their asses within a few seasons, so it seems.
This is the 2024 draft. Was the first year that the Browns have not had a first-round pick, and I believe they said 15 years.
Jesus. And that's just this franchise. You guys were the Baltimore Ravens were once the Cleveland Browns, and they did.
Oh, the Browns 2.0?
Yeah, they have not done as well. They're not known for their they didn't really start to win until they went to Baltimore and got all that money.
The year after they moved to Baltimore, they won the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, all right, there you go.
How do you think that's how I was a Browns fan?
That was a Harbaugh, though. Was that a Harbaugh that took them to the Super Bowl? I don't know.
No, that was Art Modell that owned the team, moved them to Baltimore literally overnight.
Yeah, right. Just like douched on every Cleveland fan that has ever supported an awful team for so many years.
On him. Oh, completely shit on him.
That was the best thing the NFL could have done, was bring the Browns back to Cleveland.
And 1999, the Browns came back.
How long were they? How long was that? That was what? Maybe not even a decade.
95 to 99. So 4 years.
5 years. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It took them no time to realize.
No, not at all. And that's the great thing, is the Browns didn't come back as an expansion team in NFL rules because they had already a founded team. We already had the stadium. We already had everything. The Ravens were still considered an expansion team.
Mm-hmm.
But the Browns came back no problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing, like the Cleveland sports history has always been known for its controversy. Bottlegate, you know Bottlegate, buddy. If anybody's a sports fan, you know Bottlegate.
Talk about Bottlegate. What not everybody knows about Bottlegate.
So the Browns thought it would be a great idea to sell bottled beer at I think it was 5 cents, 10 cents a piece or something like that.
Mistake one.
And if anybody's from Ohio, we can make you run for your money.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Browns fan, because we've been used to drinking our sorrows away.
Of course.
So they thought it would be a great idea. Let's sell bottled beer for, 10 cents a pop. Let's see how this works. And that was to bring people into the stadium. Let's just say that there was some very controversial calls during this game, which caused everybody to start Hail Marying their beer bottles onto the field. Not only aimed at players, but also refs and coaches, and no one was safe.
Mm-hmm.
No one was safe. And that was the last time that's ever happened.
Well, that might be a good thing. Drunken people and glass bottles.
Why do you think
generally
it's
not
plastic
a good combination?
Cups and plastic cups, aluminum bottles, things like that.
Yeah, of course, safety first.
Yeah. Okay, Steve, you're in Philly. Snowballs of Santa. That's kind of
Oh.
that's expected.
I've been in New England games, and the lovely New England crowds have adorned me with ice balls or poured beer over my head. Just like awful, terrible people, and an all loving and awful organization. So, yeah, there's some really real a-holes out there in the watching football and participating in games every week. Just be your best and cheer for your team and go Dolphins.
Yeah, but no, you had to toss that in there right at the end, didn't you?
I had to just toss that out there. Just float that on out. Go Dolphins.
Fins up. Fins up.
Fins up all day, Russ. It's been amazing. We're almost at the 2-hour mark here. Is there anything you want to push? Is there anything you want to like? Hey, come and check me out at here or there or everywhere. Or...
Yeah, I mean, make sure you find me on Instagram's Compass Curiosities on Instagram. Find me Compass Curiosities Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me through the Compass Curiosities Facebook page. Streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, through Get Haunted, everything like that. Also Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, Unturned Pages with my co-host Jenny Davis. We stream same places, Facebook pages, Instagram, YouTube, everything like that. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Music, everything like that. We upload all of our shows afterwards. Other than that, find me on Facebook. Look for the guy with the bald head now. But
Couples curiosity.
Couples Curiosity.
Couples
Compass of Curiosities.
Sounds almost sexual.
I mean, I've met some people in my day that could go that route, but I mean, we'll leave it at that.
Of course.
But no, buddy, thank you so much for having me on. I know this was a long time in the making. I mean, I think we set this up back in May, I want to say.
Right.
So it was great to be on. You're in my neck of the woods. So I'm sure we need to stop going a year without seeing each other.
Yeah, hook up and sit in the dark together or something fun like that, Russ. That'd be a good
Dude,
time.
Let's sit down in the dark at a haunted location, crack a beer, and talk about it.
Even better. So many great places I talk about all the time. Visit the USS Salem out there in Quincy. Visit the Emory Estate, right? That's in
Emory Estate, ran by Christy Parrish.
House of Hurt and Pain, right?
House of Hurt and Pain. The Hurt and Pain House. We have the Harstuff Hall.
Mm-hmm.
That we are booking investigations at all the time. Jen, yeah, come on up, sit in the dark room with Buddy and I, crack a beer, and we'll just sit there and talk.
Sounds like a great time. Tune in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Let's make this the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So tune in Friday nights for the mid card, the wrestling show with Bams, my co-host who didn't make it tonight, who is the non-Ohioan fan. Sorry, Russ.
He's here in spirit.
Tune into a Van Dyver podcast for our newest episode of Three Dudes Brews as we visit Six Pack Brewing, also in Bristol. Lovely town there in Bristol, Rhode Island. And next month, Block Island, all that good stuff. Stay tuned. Next Tuesday, we welcome Jean Broider. She's an author. She's a UFO lady. She has a lot to say often. So Jean's going to join us and tell us all about UFOs. We're going to switch gears from ghosts and people and go right into aliens and the government and all the crazy stuff that there is out in the world.
Real quick, Jen, if you want a tumbler, we still have some left. Reach out to Jenny Davis. We have some. She'll get it to you.
Nice. For Russ Stiver, for Bams, who's not with us tonight, this has been Buddy Thayer. This has been the Ghost of the Goat. Thank you for joining us this evening. Everybody have a lovely evening and a pleasant tomorrow. See you next week.